Right, whiskey time. Let's just go live. Why not? Usually, well, in years past, before doing a video, I would often make copious notes on a subject. I would get them down and down again and put them nicely ordered so that I could have a clear narrative thread of what has just happened. But today was such an intractable mess that I don't feel as though I would do the day justice if I were to put it in any comprehensible order. Theatrically, it was just an absolute sprawl with so many subplots that you could never get it past any serious person if you were trying to make a drama out of it. It's been bamboozling on the brain. But the long and short of it is the Tory party has just imploded upon themselves in the most dramatic way possible. And even if you're of the mindset injected into my veins, some part of you has got to say, no, let me pace myself on this. This is too much, too fast. So what's happened today? Well, today's Wednesday, so you usually get PMQs, Prime Minister's questions, and that was a bit of a mess. I mean, Liz Truss was back, and she was trying to take on Keir Starmer. Honestly, I found the whole thing very juvenile. Keir Starmer was cracking jokes. Liz Truss was trying to fight back. It just felt very juvenile overall. I was very unimpressed with that, given the depth of problems that we're facing at the moment. But where it really kicked off was later this afternoon, and particularly this vote that we've just had in Parliament on fracking. And ironically, this was taken by the Conservative Party as a confidence vote in the government. The message went round, and it was shared on Twitter as well, that there is a 3-line whip on this. Oh God, I just remembered something that I hadn't put down in my scrap notes. Right. So there was a 3-line whip on this, meaning that basically, if you didn't vote with the government, then you're out of the Tory party. You lose the whip. That's you gone. The awkward thing being about fracking is that it's in the Conservative manifesto that they wouldn't do fracking, and now they're being ordered by their whip that they won't stay a Conservative unless they vote for fracking. And so that put a lot of them in a hell of a bind, not just because they would have to break their manifesto promise, but also it's not going down well in lots of constituencies where these Conservative Party members are standing. Now, there was one MP today, William Ragg, who got up and said, just blatantly straight out in the House of Commons, I've been ordered to vote for this bill if that goes against my wishes. So if I vote against it, then I not only lose the whip, but I also lose my position on the select committee that I'm chair of, and I also lose my vice chairmanship of the 1922 committee, which basically holds the Prime Minister to account. And I've already put in a letter saying I want the Prime Minister gone. And if I were to be removed as a Conservative Party member, then that letter would also fall, and I wouldn't get my say to remove the Prime Minister. So I'm going to vote against our manifesto, and I'm going to vote against what my constituents want, not just to hold the positions that I have within the wider Parliament, but also so that I've got my letter in against the Prime Minister. Like, what? And that was just the start of it, because then we got Suella Braverman, the Home Secretary, who had just yesterday made this bizarre rant against Guardian reading, tofu eating, wokerati. Today just resigned. She just resigned. People didn't know when she resigned, if she'd resigned or been fired. Apparently she just left office. But boom, she was gone. And then people were asking why. And some people were saying that she'd been kicked out because the Prime Minister, that's Jeremy Hunt, by the way, because he's controlling Liz Truss because she was suppressed, but she's a fighter, so she'll stay on. Anyway, so she was being kicked out, or was she resigning? Who knows? But then we get her letter coming up after we'd had rumours about that she'd made some mistake with some technicality on some emails. Her resignation letter says, I just made a mistake in terms of I shared something sensitive from my personal email account, and that's a breach of the rules. And don't you know how we hate breaches of the rules here in the Conservative Party? Therefore, I'm resigning. By the way, I think the whole government is going in the wrong direction, and this has worried me for a while. So now hold on a second. Now, Tory ministers are not known for resigning spontaneously over small technical matters. Sometimes they have even breached their own rules that they have preached to the nation repeatedly and still refused to resign. Or they've been let off the hook by the Prime Minister in charge, even though they've broken rules. But she decided to quit over a small rule, but then take the opportunity to have a pop at the government as well. Anyway, that's a side story, because the main story is coming back to this fracking debate, wherein these Conservative MPs were in a complete bind. This is about your loyalty to the Prime Minister, that many of us are openly admitting should go, and there are lots of plans as to who we should replace it with. Is it Boris Johnson? Not only scraping the barrel, but, going to the barrel scrapings of some months back and pulling back those barrel scrapings to put back in the barrel. He's going to be our PM again, because wasn't he popular? And then, so it was a whole confidence vote to prop up Liz Truss when clearly there was no confidence in her, and they didn't think that this was going to go wrong. Then suddenly you've got Tories who don't want to do this. There is confusion in the division lobby when MPs are deciding which way to go, yay or nay, supporting this. Apparently, according to many reports, they're being bullied by Jacob Rees-Mogg and Therese Kofi. So they're actually physically being bullied, according to some reports, absolutely mad scenes. And then 40 of them actually break the three-line whip and don't support the government position on it, either abstaining or voting against. I don't know, I'm going to have to go into the details, but I heard it was 40 that broke that, including Kwasi Kwarteng, including Theresa May, including Liz Truss. What? Yeah, Liz Truss abstained on the very vote that was forcing Conservative members to go against their manifesto pledges in order to back her, and she skipped that vote, even though she said earlier in the day twice that she was a fighter, not a quitter. What is going on? No one knows what's going on. Oh, and then there was the small matter also today of the pensions triple lock, double U-turn, whereby some MPs, Boris Johnson style, are being marched up the hill on the thing that there was going to be a U-turn on the triple lock for pensions because the government couldn't guarantee it anymore. And so some ministers were put in an awkward position about that, waiting to hear from Liz Truss, who then said, no, of course we're guaranteeing the triple lock. What are you talking about? After Number 10 had given out indications that that thing could be scrapped. So they're in a complete mess at the moment. The Prime Minister is not even backing herself. And the whole thing is an absolute farce. And I'll stop there on that, because we've got something to get on with as well, which is this Brexit documentary, which we launched 2 days ago. And we want to do from Byline TV, me as a presenter, backed by all the grassroots that support Byline Times, Byline TV, Byline's network, the authoritative documentary on Brexit. We've been trying to launch that and push that with great success, I would say. But events like this, how do you get cut through? Anyway, this is my attempt to cut through by saying, what a mess today. But also, don't forget, please sponsor that project. We're more than 80% of the way there now after just 2 days. We smashed the halfway mark this time yesterday. And if you go to brexitdocumentary.com, you can see what it's all about. But essentially, all of this does stem from Brexit, this whole ideological mess that has split the Tory party throughout the sensibles, and now the semi-sensibles are sort of if you can even call them that, are getting executed as well. The government is in a right mess, hauling us along on just the fumes of this project now, not knowing what they're doing. But it all does date back to that hijack of Brexit that also brought the UKIPers into the membership of the Conservative Party, and now we're all suffering for it. So it's very, very important that we tell the story of the damage now, the mess we're in, how we got to the mess we are in at the moment. And so that's the chronology, dating back to the 70s even, but there are lots of wicked little nuggets of knowledge in there that you need to have and that we've got prepped. And then, part 3 is like, where do we go now? Because this is a serious question now. Where do we go now as a country? Where does the Tory party go now? I don't care. That's for them to sort out. They've cocked up. They can go out and sort it. But as a country, as a mission, as a vision, what do we have to unite behind? What is the Brexiteers' vision going forward? Should we rebuild with Europe? Well, yes, of course we should. But how much and to what degree, by what steps? What is our place in the world? We used to be part of this team. Now we're not. Do we go back? What do? We need to start having those serious conversations, because the last 6 years have been all about this bomb that has gone off, and then all this internal navel gazing about where we are now, and it's got into personalities, and it's got into ridiculous situations, and the world is looking on in absolute horror, and it's time to sweep it all aside and have a proper vision about where this country goes, because history is long, but the future, hopefully, is even longer. So we do need to have some good, sensible brains on that. And at the moment, we've just hit, I hope, the nadir of all of this, and we can start building back in a sensible way, because we have just humiliated our country. And today has been an absolute kaleidoscope of, I better be careful with my descriptive words here and just move on quickly, but you know exactly what I'm driving at. It's been absolutely phenomenal. So look, as I'm talking, I can see comments on the site, and I see just a guy called Nigel saying 51st state, and then a laughing face. I'm seeing someone else, Paul, saying independent Scotland. I'm seeing Wayne saying rejoin the EU. Someone else saying independence for Scotland. Someone else commenting on Shaps. Shaps likes changing his name. Yeah, it's bizarre, isn't it? Like, what a place have we, Britain, the United, what a place have we got ourselves into in just a short order of time? It's absolutely, it floors me. And it should be very humbling as well. You remember how we used to, mock the Italians over Silvio Berlusconi, and then we got Boris Johnson. Remember, how we've, belittled other countries and their politics many times. Well, pride before fall, and we're in a hell of a fall at the moment. And I will stop my practice here, because otherwise I will practice forever. I wanted to try and do a brief summary of a complex day, and at some point you have to wrap it up. So I'm going to wrap it up here and go straight into my comments and chuckle hard at all the things that you guys are saying, because that always entertains me. So I'll cut it there and I'll dive into your comments. All right. Good night, guys. Oh, and remember, the documentary, please do back it, please do chip in, but also share it. It's about the numbers that support it, and it's about 1,300 people now that have donated over the last couple of days, which is awesome. and gives us the fuel we need in order to do this thing. All right, thanks very much. Catch you all soon, no doubt.